Hey everybody. So just a couple things. There might be like a tornado or something coming. We'll see if I can get through this video. This is a special request of TWASM, my darling friend TWASM, for a tour of our chicken setup, because she is also getting chickens. Welcome to the Cool Girls Club, TWASM. Check this out. Before we get started, look at this. So I've been wanting a table that fit this area in the dingalow because the other table is just too big, and now that we have most of the appliances off the porch, I have it back where it's supposed to be. And guess where I got this? Off the curb, ladies. Off the curb. People leave the damnedest things out of the garbage. So today I am having a Consuelo has been making all these amazing teas with our mint, our different kinds of mint, and this is the lemon mint, and I mixed a little bit of an 8-year-old Haitian rum barbecourt into it today, and it is delicious. Oh, one more thing before we start the chicken tour. These are, I made this like a month and a half ago, 2 months, I forget, but I forgot to mention. These are the boards that we got off the curb. I made one more bed out of those, and I still have one giant board left because I still need one more bed over by one of the fences. So, okay. So chickens. Today was supposed to be a big day for Berenice. She was supposed to go to the vet and get her bumble cut out. And we scheduled that for her, and we took her in last week, and they said, oh, well, you have to come back next week, we do surgeries on Wednesdays. So we took her in, and they're like, oh, what surgery? We were just gonna do a checkup. And we're like, no, you need to cut off her bumble. I think the lady, the vet, has never done it before, but it's like, knock her out, I'll watch. I know what to do. It's not a big deal. Just knock her out, we can cut this out. So next week she's gonna get her bumble cut out once and for all. Oh, sweet pea, you're such a good girl. So while we were there last week, literally every person who worked in the building came in to see her and take pictures of her, and because I guess she's their first chicken. I don't understand why. There's ordinances all in all the cities around us, but yeah, it was their first one. And today we came in and they actually had a photographer for her, and I'm like, did you just bring us in because the photographer was going to be here today? I don't know. Anyway, she's a minor celebrity over at this little vet's office. So, to the tour, finally. Okay, let's start with the pen, the middle ground, because this is what we built first. So we built this based on a video. I know we talked about this in an old video that some homesteaders from Missouri did. We just based exactly what they did, and it worked out great. It's just 2x4s and cattle panels and chicken wire. If I was in a high predator area, if I had a lot of raccoons to worry about, I would make this a 1/4-inch hardware cloth instead of a chicken wire, just FYI. We have a really low predator pressure here overall compared to other parts of the country, so we didn't have to. Oh my gosh, it's getting really windy out. So anyway, the pen. So this pen is great for them. It's like what is it, 12 feet by 7 feet, and it backs up onto the coop itself. Let's see, what can I say about it? So underneath, on the ground all the way around, including under the coop, there is 1/4-inch hardware cloth buried down deep. Let me show you that. Not super deep, just a few inches in the ground so they don't dig it up, but see, it's completely sealed between these two, and then the hardware cloth it comes out to, about 18 inches out to prevent any digging predators from getting up in there. I highly recommend doing an entryway like this we made sure this was on their pen as a whole, was on the highest ground in the backyard, and kind of just to always kind of keep the water coming away from it. And you can see, like, even when it's damp here, it rained earlier, it's always really dry in their pen. I always keep half of it covered with this tarp, which has a silver on the other side because it's nicer in the summer. It reflects a lot of the heat. And normally in the summer I wouldn't have this on, the plastic. That is just something I do for winter when I plastic the whole thing. But this year I left it on the top because avian flu is coming around. I mean, it's really only, I guess, like spring and fall during the migration period, but just to be on the safer side, you know, it reduces their risk a little bit. It's like wearing a mask. Just put your fucking mask on, reduce your risk, keeps the other birds' poop from getting into their pen where they spend a lot of time, so they're just safer. What else? Oh, I would always do a double lock on my doors. I've got a hinge here and a hinge down here, because raccoons can't figure out how to do one hinge, so all the doors should be two hinged. And that's the same for the windows too. They'll have two handles on them because they're smart little suckers. I'll put my drink down. Oh my gosh, this is good. So we've furnished this with various things from the curbs that we picked up. They really like standing up here, especially in the morning, so they can yell at me to come out and get them. I built this for them. They used it a couple of times when they were little, and they've never used it since, with the thought that, you know, in the summer, if it's too hot, if they wanted to roost out here, it would be safe for them to do so, but they've never used it. In the summer, I keep, you know, at least 3 watering situations for them. They've got this one, and then there's one outside for them. What else? And in here I just store all their seeds and grits and whatnots. I don't know what else to say about this building. Let me know if you have questions, TWASM. Okay, so next, let's do the run. So this is, as y'all know, the Jacinta memorial run that we put up after JC passed, because prior to that the girls had been pretty young and had been out in the whole yard, but you can see the difference between their area and the rest of the garden. They were out all day 2 days ago, so they get to come out, but if I let them out every day, the whole yard would look like like a bomb hit it, basically. You know, they're messy and they like to tear stuff up. They do not bother at all. Lilies, daffodils, lily of the valley, they don't really bother the elderberry trees at all. Even the sunflowers they haven't messed with that just popped up here. You can see I have a random assemblage of bamboo poles because they grow over there, and I just pick them sometimes, and that is to confuse hawks. So the idea is that a hawk wants to make, this is my understanding, that a hawk wants to make like a direct descent onto its prey, and so everything here is to confuse them and make it hard for them to do that. Even down to, I had some netting over there that the girls like to hide under. I don't even know if you can see that. Yeah, so just giving them lots of places to hide. In the hotness of today, it's so hot, and yesterday it was in the 90s. I'm not whining, I know it's not bad compared to everywhere else, but when it gets really hot like that, because they're heavy birds, because they're big girls, they're not bantams, they like to hang out here and stay cool all day and just kind of chill out, and it's nice and dry for them here. You want to make sure they have plenty of places to take dust baths, and you'll see, like, I fill these corners in all the time and they dig them right back out, and they'll dig giant holes wherever just to take dust baths. That's how they stay clean. This little area Consuelo built for them with their little ladder. It's like when they were young, they would run, they still do run over it, jump over this. It's like their little obstacle course. And I always keep a lot of their old eggshells that are baked and broken up so you can't recognize them as such there. Just to make sure they have enough calcium. They also get oyster shells, and they get, of course, regular grit. And just being out here in the dirt, they can always get enough grit. They've never had impacted crops or anything. And I think that they're basically free range. I think that probably helps with that. So they really like this. Like this little track here, they'll come tearing down here at 90 miles an hour and jump over that. They like to be able to run and flap their wings, and I think having room for them to do that and jump and is important. They've recently decided that they want to be up in this compost that I'm working right now, and so I kind of put together a little ladder for them. They freaking love it up here now, so that's good because they're helping with the compost, right? So and then this is their old bedding from the pen that I took out, thinking, oh, they don't need to be in that anymore, it's all dirty, we'll just start composting it. And I keep finding them in here taking dust baths, so you know. This is a raspberry patch that was here before we put anything here, and they don't, I think they eat some of the raspberries, but they don't really mess with it too much. So that's it. And this mulberry tree has always been here, and it's a great thing to have hanging over a chicken pen because they really like the overripe berries especially. And so you can see this area is like completely clean of berries, even though the mulberries just finished up like a few days ago. So that's that. Okay, so let's do their coop. So, and you can see the ugly today because, and here's their two, see this door requires two hinges to be opened to get the doors to open up. Otherwise they don't really open. So. And I haven't even cleaned it out today. So you can see the ugly here. This is the ugly truth of it. All right. This is their poop tarp. I know, disgusting, but as you can see, it catches almost all the poop in here. Like you don't see it on the floor where we've got the hay. There's just a little tiny bit here. So just every day I come with a little dustbin and a shovel and just scrape it off and dump it right over in the compost heap like 10 feet away. So that works great. Occasionally, if they start to get gross, every couple of months, maybe, it depends. It depends on who's sleeping at the top of the ladder and pooping there all night. I will take these ladders out and hose them off real good and dry them in the sun. And the way I built them, they're all modular, so they're just held in with these bricks. So the whole shebang comes out piece by piece, and it's really easy to remove. I recommend that. These 2x4s, this is really important for the roost. I gave them 2 just because I wasn't sure how much, let me unzoom, I feel like I'm zoomed in. I wasn't sure how much room they were gonna need. This is plenty. They, you know, all 4 of them take up maybe this much space at night on the roost. You could put a lot more birds in here, but it's nice when it's a hot day like today. It's like 90 degrees in here, but I've always got the fan on in the summer. It's on high right now. And I have these ventilation holes. Those go into the pen, those go to the outside, and I have little pipes on the outside of them, so like water doesn't come into them, but it always lets the hot air escape. If I had this to do over again, I would have put these windows lower to the ground so that I could lower the entire roost, and I think that would give them more headroom where the heat could go and they would be a little bit cooler at night. That's one thing that I would change in this coop. It's not, I thought they needed to be as high as possible, but I don't think that's the case. They just want to roost on the highest spot in the coop. So yeah, that would be a mistake. If I was to do it again, I would lower that by maybe like 8 inches just to get a little more headroom over their heads. I did come around and like, you see I did like a foam insulation and then covered this up just to try and cut the heat. And I also, in the summer, because we have a metal roof on here, In the summer, in the summer I put this shade cloth over their trellis to help with that, to help keep it shaded during the day. And I think I have some honeysuckle on one of the fences that I'm gonna move into this bed, maybe in the fall, into this bed, and then it'll just take over all of this, and then they'll have permanent shade here in the summer. And then in the winter, it's gonna lose the leaves, and then they get the sun, and that warms up the roof and keeps the coop a little warmer, which is nice. Oh, cams. I highly recommend like 1,000,000 cams. Those Wise cams, W-Y-Z-E. They're great. It's really nice to be able to check on them. I have one here. It's really nice to be able to check on them if they're up in the morning, and then I've got one down here so I can see who's in the nest box, which I'm sitting on right now. So let's see. Oh, also about the roosts. Back to the roosts. It's for heavy birds again. Chickens are not like robins. They don't want to like curl their feet around something. They're much too heavy for that. They kind of lay on their breastbones, and their feet don't need to be completely flat, like their toes will wrap over this on one side or the other, but they do need a lot of support so they can rest properly at night. So what you do is you get a 2x4, and I even for like Lenore, because she's so big. Hi baby, Lenore, look how big she is compared to like Marella. I have considered giving her a 2x6 up here, and I might, don't let that door slam on you, ma'am. Be careful. As she gets older, I might switch one of these out with a 2x6 to see if she prefers it. Just because they're such big birds, you know. So what is really important to do is to sand this down so it's nice and smooth. You can run your hands over it and not catch any splinters. Make it nice and soft and round it off so that their feet wrap over it nicely. And I did both sides so I can flip this over if needed. Because see, they like bow it after a while, so next time I take it out to hose it down, I'll flip it and put it in upside down, and then they can bow it back the other way. I don't need to spray for mites. I don't, I'm always looking, but it's very clean in here. I say this looking at this. It's very clean in here. It gets sprayed out once in the spring, once in the fall and I haven't seen any bugs. They're also not crowded. There's lots of good airflow here, and as long as it's not raining, I keep all 3 windows open. This one has an awning over it, so it can stay open even in the rain. This one's in the pen. It can stay open even in the rain. This one I kind of have to watch. Otherwise, this corner of the coop can get wet, and that's gross. No one likes that. So if I see it's going to rain, I'll usually shut that one. Something that I don't recommend that I do have in here, this heat panel for heavy birds. They are good to maybe -10 and beyond is what I've been hearing, and we haven't got to that temperature at all. I have never used this with them. Never. This is a solar fan that really doesn't work that good because now it's kind of in the shade on top. So if you can keep it somewhere where it's going to stay in the sun, I would recommend using a solar fan. But yeah, I've gone with electricity here. Obviously, one of the big dangers in a coop is that you don't want to have anything flammable. So like no heat lamps for sure. That's a giant no-no. And I have all the electric kind of over here far away. Like I made sure the girls can't really get to it. They can't touch any of these wires pretty much, except for that one, which isn't even plugged in. So what else with that? Oh, you'll notice the windows are all covered with chicken wire. If I had to do this over again, I would have just went straight to the 1/4 inch, just for peace of mind. This stuff, it gets rickety after a while, and it can break in places, and that's no good. So I would do that. These windows are super sweet. We got them off of Craigslist, and they just slide out of their slots. So whenever I do the cleaning, I just take them out, hose them down, clean all that off, and start over. And they, chickens are dusty. There's just a lot of dust involved with chickens, so you just kind of have to get used to that. Okay, to the nest box. You can build however many nest boxes you want. Oh, look it, we get 2 eggs today. And there's some poop in there. That's not supposed to be there. You can build however many nest boxes you want, but they're really only going to fight over one. And this is the one. I was experimenting with some cut up hay in this one. I've heard that the cedar shavings that I have in here aren't the best for their lungs. I think it's okay because it's really only in one, you know, their whole pen isn't full of it. So, and they're big girls, I think it's okay, but they don't like this one. I can see somebody's been messing around in here, but no one has laid in here. So I'll probably take this hay, get rid of it, try shavings in there and see if they like it better. But honestly, they get their heart set on one nest and that's what they want to use. When I built these, I didn't have this here at the beginning, and that worked better. And also I used these curtains over the back to keep them from kicking the egg out the back and whatever. And I also put cardboard down, and I can just shake it off, you know, every week or so when I clean it off, because it keeps the egg from hitting the wood and it can get cracked that way. They're kind of rough with stuff, and you see they kick all the bedding out of the way anyway, so it's just going to be, the eggs are just going to be on the bare wood. So I think the cardboard's working out really well. And you can just change it out really often too, so it helps keep it clean. I have it raised up on some bricks, so they kind of, here, let me show you from the other side. So they kind of, I can't, am I showing it? They kind of just walk up there, walk over the little thing and get in there. Have a little old clothes is what I used for the curtains, just to give them a little sense of privacy. They like that a lot. And these curtains, oops, these curtains over the back. I know. Who laid the 2 eggs today? A brown and a white one. Good job. Good job, littles. I'll come back for those. I think keeping it off the ground is just kind of nice. It keeps it out of the dirt and muck. It's really, really important to not put your nest box under the roost, because pooping all night, right? They're pooping all night. So you got to make it so it's not going to get into the nest box. Also, you want to make sure that the roost is considerably higher than the nest box, so they don't end up sleeping in the nest box. The only one who ever slept in the nest box is, you know who. Who? Annabelle, right, Lenore? Because she gets so broody, she doesn't want to get out of the nest box. But I think that's it for this. So you can see the build. All I did was just use 2x4s every however many random number of inches. I did not do them 16, I don't think. Just random number of inches. I was originally going to build a big fancy nest box thing out there, decided against it, and I'm really glad I didn't, because to me it's just another point of failure. If it's sticking out like that, it can leak, predators can get in, and this is really easy. This whole thing just lifts out whenever I want to clean it, if I need to pull it out. And the twice a year clean out that I do in here, it's really easy to get in and out. I guess there is more to talk about in here. This is like the light layer that I use in summer. They don't hang out in here barely at all in the summer, so I don't really put much in here for them in the way of bedding. A little bit of hay. You can also I use a lot of leaves. I save all the leaves in the fall that I can get my hands on in yard bags and put them in the shed. And we use those in the pen, and I also use them in here, make sure they're dry. You can use grass that you mow the lawn with, just make sure it gets all dried out first. They like that a lot. They don't seem to mind the cedar shavings at all. They like it. They love the hay because they can pick all the little seeds out of it. Just anything really that's kind of floofy like that's not going to get in their lungs. So in the summer I use a real light just coating on the floor. And then in the winter, I'll do a big fat layer. And in the winter, I have a board that I put across the back here. And just like what you can see there on the way out their door. And that allows me to pile up their bedding really deep. And that gives them a nice insulation between them and the ground. because they hang out, and they also hang out in here a lot more in the winter when it's cold, especially if it's snowy. What else in here? Oh, and in the winter I also add insulation on these doors, and you can see the weather stripping's all messed up right now, but I'll redo it in the fall, just to seal this. Oh, that's another thing, the exposure on this. So the way I faced this was this front window that's over their roost, that's east. That's the east window, because I wanted them to have the light in the morning to wake up to. And then the whole back here, let me do this, shut this up. The whole back here is just a solid sheet, because this is the west, this is where the wind is going to hit it, and the water. And I did this awning that works pretty good. I think I mentioned before too, I added a gutter that helped a lot with the problem I was having here, where the water was coming up and hitting the doors. I need to redo that, because it was getting hit with water and it was wearing it all out. But now that I've added that little gutter piece, I don't have that problem anymore. So highly recommend a gutter. And it's nice to have this little thing to stand under if it's raining and you're out here getting eggs or cleaning up the nest. I also added this last winter, and I just haven't taken it down, to stop the wind, just as a windbreak to help them out. Let's see, that's their awning over this window, so it can stay open even if it's raining, which is nice in these hot summer days where you don't want to have to shut them in there with no, airflow. Here's one of the ventilation where the little holes, that pipe comes out, so that it doesn't rain into it, but they always have, fresh air going out the top. Oh, around here, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me. Pardon me. I know, Lenore, you're really into this tour. You're probably the only one still watching this. This 1/4 inch I did all the way around the coop, obviously, and it's out 18 inches. And in the winter, I cover it with boards and plastic, and I actually insulate all of this with leaves and dirt and whatever else I have, just all the way around the bottom, to keep the wind from blowing under the coop and cooling them down that way. But in the summer, obviously, you want that airflow as much as possible. What else? I think that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, TWASM. And for anybody else who actually watched this whole thing, I thank you for your patience. Let me end with something cute here. Hey, hi. Lenore. Have a great day. Here comes the tornado. Bye.